Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
The big problem with saving money to buy something big, whether it's a college education or some other big purchase, is that once you spend your money, it's gone for good. You're never going to see it again. Tom, you figured out that instead of saving money for your kids to go to college, you were better off using your money to buy rental properties, and then you let your rental properties pay for college. Tell me more.
So we initially bought rentals to so that my wife could stay home with the kids, and it is turned into a college fund now. And right now I have two college kids that have already gotten through. I've got one in a master's program, and my last child, my fourth child, is starting his freshman year this upcoming fall.
And it's all been paid for with your rental income?
Yeah, we funded it strictly through that, and it's easily paid for it.
On the podcast today, we're going to figure out how Tom was able to do all this with just a couple of rental properties. Joining us on the show today from Sheridan, Wyoming, is Tom Patten. We'll take a quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Tom. It's a lot of work to find a really good rental property. And when you actually find that property, you want to make sure you're working with a lender that can get that loan closed. The lender that I recommend is Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you're ready to get started today, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com. NMLS 42056.
Rental Income Podcast.
Tom, I love that your rentals were able to have your wife leave her job and that you were able to pay for your kids' college at the same time. Tell me, let's talk about how you did this. Can you tell us about your portfolio?
So currently we only have 6 stores. We have a duplex, what I call a shop that we rent out. We have a single family home, and we have 2 houses in another city in Wyoming.
I love that you were able to do this without a huge portfolio. I mean, six doors sounds very manageable. Has it been fairly easy?
Yes, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're living, a normal life. We have to do some work whenever we change tenants, and occasionally we have a lot of work, and sometimes it's almost no work. So,
how did you get the idea that this could happen? Did you know anyone that was doing this, or was this just kind of an idea that you came up with?
Well, I would like to say that it was perfectly planned out, but it wasn't perfectly planned out. We bought our first rental, and it was like, okay, we can do this, and then once you own one rental, owning another one is not very difficult. It's easier to own more property once you've owned the first one and are comfortable with it. Some people, might hate it, but if you're comfortable with it, it's been really good for us and our family.
Yeah. So now to get the cash flow off 6 stores to replace your wife's income and then to eventually pay for college, I'm guessing that's a lot of cash flow that you need on a monthly basis. So did you get the properties paid off, or did you have mortgages on the properties?
Good question. So by the time that our first child was going to college, that was, I believe, in 2012, we already had, I guess it was 5 doors paid off.
Okay.
And we didn't have one of the doors wasn't paid off. So we were mostly paid off.
So did you take out mortgages to buy the properties and then work on getting those properties paid off?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is a really good idea is to buy like a duplex and move into half, and then you can move, and then you rent the other half out because you are getting that duplex on an owner-occupied basis, and that seems like a no-brainer for somebody starting out.
Sure.
And then because you get great rates, you get the best rates, and buying it. And we bought a 15-year, so we bought 15-year mortgages.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great.
And they were cash flowing on 15-year mortgages.
Okay. Yeah, a 15-year mortgage is a great way to get properties paid off. One thing that always holds me back from doing a 15-year is that the payment is just that much higher than a 30-year mortgage. So did that concern you at all, that the mortgage was maybe higher, or did you just have enough cash flow that you knew you could get the property paid off in 15 years and you wouldn't have any trouble?
Yeah, I think it's because our first properties were very high cash flow, and like our very first rental was from an estate sale, and we basically bought the property before it hit the market. And so we got a good deal, and the rents were really low at the time. I mean, they were renting at $280 a month. That was our first rent.
Wow.
And I went and looked for that area, and I found a comparable today at one at over $1,600 a month, and another at $1,940 a month. For comparable in the area today. We don't own that rental anymore. We 1031 exchanged it.
You know, that's really the incredible thing with rents, is that they do go up over time. What period of years are you talking about that you went from 280 to almost 2,000 a month? Like, how many years is that?
So that would be, I believe, 1992.
Okay, so almost 30 years, or 30 years.
So 30 years, it went from about 280 to certainly north of 1,500.
And then the value of the property compared to what you paid for it and what it's worth today, how much has that increased?
Well, we paid $70,000 for that duplex in 1992. And so we exchanged it in 2012. We got like 2.25 for it.
Okay.
When we did our exchange.
225,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I'm sure it's appreciated more since then.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That really is that really is incredible. Okay. So you worked on getting the properties paid off. Did you make extra payments, or did you just put them on a 15-year mortgage and just pay the mortgage every month to get it paid off?
We put them on a 15-year mortgage and paid them every month.
Okay, awesome. So in 15 years, you had your properties paid off. That's great. Well, let's kind of trace the money and see how the money flows. So right now, your tenants pay you monthly, but I imagine your school expenses don't go out as evenly. So how does that work? Like, do the rents come in and then you save it up, and when you have a tuition bill, then you pay it?
Yeah. So we get about $4,000 a month, and then you got to figure 25% at least for all our different expenses. So you're really looking at $3,000 a month now that everything's paid off. So, okay. And so for $3,000 a month, typically we've seen bills of somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000, as high as $8,000 for a semester.
Okay, all right. So the rents come in, and then you use the rent money initially to pay your expenses, any repairs, your property taxes, your insurance, anything to keep the property running. And then whatever is left over, you use that money to pay tuition when it's due, right?
Yes. And then we take the rest of it and just mostly save it for other things. We have been using it, like we we save the money up to, you know, pay cash for a vehicle.
Okay. Wow.
So, you know, save it up and then go pay cash for a vehicle rather than, you know, buying whatever you want.
Now, today, I mean, you're definitely reaping the benefits of having the properties paid off. But for 15 years, you weren't making as much money as you are today now that the mortgages are gone. Did it feel like a sacrifice during those first 15 years?
I would say it didn't because, well, I suppose we have sacrificed some more than other people's. It didn't, looking back, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice, but I suppose when we were living in a rental on a duplex and other people our age were living in single family homes, I suppose it could have felt like that as a sacrifice. But us looking back on it, we don't really feel like it was much of a
Right.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Now, as far as the management goes, so you said it's pretty easy to manage your properties, and I assume your wife is working with you to manage everything.
yeah, so she does all the collection because she did it when she was staying at home. So she did most of the communication because she was stay-at-home mom. So she did all the communication with the tenants, collecting the rents, showing the properties, and at one point she was dealing with. We had a property management company um, because we got moved because I moved around with my job for a
Okay.
little while.
How did that work out with your management company?
We learned a lot from it. I mean, we learned that if we do it with a property management company, we will be a little pickier if we do that.
Hmm.
Um, again, we may do that in the future. Who knows?
And today, I think you say that some of your properties are local, and then you have a property that's in another area.
Yes, we have one that's about 4 hours drive away.
Now, like, is that property hard to manage from that far away?
It is the hardest property to manage because it's that far away. It is the hardest to manage. The other ones are pretty easy to manage and they're in our community. And so I manage a business operation in town. And so I know I know the companies that I deal with and they know me,
Hmm.
like, the plumbers and the electricians. I already have a relationship with them. So you know who to call and they respond quickly.
What made you buy a property so far away? And it sounds like you were able to find good deals close to home. Why did you venture out to such a far away area?
So at the time we purchased that, is was that my wife's father lived right there when we first purchased it, and and that was the reason we purchased it there. It was an excuse to go visit him,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and it was good. He's passed since, and so and at one point he moved into some assisted living, and he did that here close to us, and we had it on a property management for a while.
Today you're managing everything yourself. How do you guys collect rent today? Are you collecting rent online, or do you get checks? Like, how are you getting paid every month?
We have a bank that is in both the communities that we use, and so some of our tenants like to just go into our bank and deposit it into our account.
Okay.
So we have quite a few. I think we have three people who do that. Three of the 6 stores
So
do
do
that.
you
They
just give your tenants your account number and then they go to the bank and deposit it into your account?
I'm not exactly sure. My wife takes care of that.
Okay.
So, but there is something that they tell them at the bank and they put it in. I think she just gave them our name and say, put it in our
Okay.
name.
And
I
then
think it's just our name. It's not our account number.
okay. And then how do the other tenants pay you?
They come in by check.
Okay, so they just mail a check to your house.
Yep, they mail it. One of our tenants I see quite frequently. He always stops by my work and drops it off to me personally.
So it sounds like everything's working great. You've got long-term tenants there. It sounds like it's not a big deal collecting rent. Do you have much maintenance stuff coming up?
We usually do maintenance. We try to fix up each unit so that it looks nice, it's clean, it's safe, and we would live in it. You know what I mean? We would live in it, so then we rent it out again. So that's usually is when we're turning them. That's the big issues. Other than that, occasional plumber call, water heater goes out, your typical things that happen.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty simple. I mean, you bought these properties, you put them on a 15-year mortgage. It sounds like you're getting good tenants. You don't have a lot of headache or hassle with everything. Did you ever consider buying more properties? I mean, this seems like it's just such a great way for you to make extra money for your family.
So, yeah, we could have done that. I guess we made a decision at some point. I'm not sure if we even really thought about it, but it would have been nice to buy more. Sort of regret that we didn't, but instead of buying more, we just decided that I would max out my 401k at work and do that. And so I've done that the last 15 years.
This episode has been a great example of why I love rental properties. It's really pretty awesome that Tom was able to do all this with a portfolio of 6 rental properties. I think it's very obtainable for just about anybody to get 6 rental properties. And I think the critical piece to Tom's success is that he put everything on 15-year mortgages. And once those mortgages were paid off, he was generating a ton of cash flow, and he's been able to send his kids to college. He was able to buy a new car. His wife was able to stay home for a bit. And who knows in the future what the rentals will do for him. It's really just such a great story. And Tom, congratulations on all your success. I got a quick programming note for you. I mentioned on the podcast last week that I'm working on a bonus episode with a listener that makes just about $5,000 a month in rental income right now. And she wants to get that up to $10,000 a month. And she wanted to do a strategy session with Shaylee Ridge about how she could make that happen. And I got permission from Shaylee and from the listener to record that phone call. And we're going to be recording that this week and turning it into a bonus episode. So I just need a little bit of time to get that edited after we record it. So be looking out for that here in the next couple of weeks. I would like to thank Shaylee Ridge for sponsoring today's episode. If you are looking to finance a rental property, whether you're just getting started or you want to add to your portfolio, reach out to Shaylee Ridge. She has a ton of different loan programs. Of course, she's got 30-year loans, 15-year loans. If you're looking to maximize your cash flow, she has interest-only options. If you're looking for a lower interest rate, she has adjustable rate mortgages. She's got a ton of different loan programs. If you want to set up a time to talk to Shaylee to figure out what's best for you in your situation, reach out to Shaylee at ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out today's podcast. Make sure you subscribe. We put out new interviews every single Tuesday. And if you're subscribed, you'll get notified as soon as the next episode comes out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.